Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Events Announcements. My name is Eugene Romanenko. I'm your Crypto MC, and please welcome my today's VIP guest. He is Mr. Henri Arslanian. He is chairman of FinTech Association of Hong Kong. He's broadcasting from Hong Kong right now, and of course, he will be the distinguished keynote speaker at the Chainpoint 19 conference in Yerevan, Armenia, in October 14 and 15, hosted by Henri Arslanian and his brilliant Armenian Blockchain Association NOR team. Henri, it's great honor and pleasure to have you on our interview.
Thanks for having me.
For those who may be not familiar with you, could you please give us a bit intro, tell about yourself, and what are you working on right now in the blockchain and fintech industry?
Absolutely. First of all, great to be on today. As you mentioned, my name is Henri, and really my passion and my focus in life is the future of the financial services industry. And I do this by many different hats. One of them is at my day job, if you want, at PwC, where I run a crypto practice globally, where we advise numerous crypto exchanges, crypto funds, crypto investors, traditional banks getting into crypto, as well as numerous regulators and central banks on policy issues. So very exciting there on how to put the old, they're bringing the old world with the new world. So very exciting from that perspective. In my spare time, like I like to often say, I'm the chairman of the FinTech Association of Hong Kong, which is the main FinTech Association of Hong Kong, representing over 1,500 individual members. And also separately, I'm very active in my academic life, where I'm an adjunct associate professor at the University of Hong Kong, where I teach the first FinTech University course, and very active, obviously, on the teaching side, where I teach courses on FinTech and crypto. And it was also my last book that just came out called The Future of Finance, which obviously just became an Amazon Global Top 10 bestseller that covers a lot of the basics around Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital currencies, really to try to help people understand this exciting world even better.
Tell us your main reasons. Why did you decide to share your ideas and huge experience in Yerevan at Chainpoint 19 conference?
Well, it's a good question, Eugene. I mean, obviously, I think everybody in the crypto ecosystem, regardless of our role, we have a role to share with the broader ecosystem. I always say it's like a 1 + 1 = 3 relationship. And I think the more we are, the more everybody is knowledgeable. The more everybody is knowledgeable of global trends, the more knowledgeable the industry becomes. And obviously, I speak at many of the crypto conferences, blockchain conferences around the world. Armenia is particularly important for me. As you know, I'm born and raised in Canada, but also my background is Armenian. And so having the conference in Armenia is a very particular, touching, emotional feeling for me. But also, I run a number of initiatives around crypto globally. And one of the things I want to talk about at the conference is really some of the global crypto trends that we are seeing. As we know, there's a lot of different, what I call the bubbles or the silos within our crypto ecosystem. And I'm just very fortunate to deal with some of the more institutionalized elements of it. A lot of traditional banks are coming in, the regulators, the central banks, the tech firms. And I'm very excited to share in Yerevan with everybody some of the latest trends we are seeing on that front, on the institutional crypto side.
What topics and issues will you be specifically covering during your speech in Yerevan?
Well, of course, I think for everybody, they need to see it to see what's going to happen. But obviously, what I intend to cover in Armenia is really some of the big macro institutional trends. For example, regulatory clarity. For example, today, Eugene, according to Cambridge University, only 5% of regulators do not have somebody working on crypto, which is quite impressive compared to 2 or 3 years ago. So I'll be covering a lot of the latest trends on regulations and what we are seeing there. Second, I'll be also covering a lot of the trends that we are seeing with institutional players, how we are seeing different banks around the world, some of the global banks enter the crypto ecosystem and how they are doing it and what are different strategies that each of them is taking. I'll also share about crypto investors. As you may know, a couple of months ago, we released the first crypto hedge fund report globally, and really shows interesting data on the crypto hedge fund industry. And I'll share some insights around that as well. But also some other insights as we're seeing on how crypto exchanges are becoming institutionalized, some of the best practices we are seeing, as well as some of the challenges. but also some of the latest trends we are seeing with central bank digital currencies. Again, with Libra being the catalyst, and some of the approaches we're seeing different central banks around the world take. So very, very excited to share with some of the people who'll be there in Yerevan in a couple of weeks.
You are now in the heart of crypto world, in the crypto heaven of the world in Hong Kong. We all know what Hong Kong is regarding crypto. Can you compare Hong Kong with the future of crypto Armenia? And can magic occur? Can crypto Armenia become the Hong Kong on Caucasus?
Well, I hope, I think there's a lot, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of exciting things that have been happening in Hong Kong for the last couple of years. I've been personally living here for the last 11 years, and I used to live in China before. And really, it's been really remarkable to see the growth of not only the FinTech ecosystem in Hong Kong, but also the crypto ecosystem. And I think there's a couple of particularities that made Hong Kong so special that could be relevant for other markets around the world. First of all, one of them was totally organic. Unlike other countries where the government was trying to push and encourage the crypto ecosystem, in a market like Hong Kong, it was genuinely organic and the community coming together and businesses being built. Second thing we saw was really the kind of I would say, the collaboration within the ecosystem. And we've seen a lot of the folks working together, some of the competitors actually trying to share knowledge and try to at least everybody try to improve, again, with the 1 + 1 = 3 relationship. And I think those are very good elements that could be applicable to not only Armenia, but other countries in the world. For example, while the ecosystem by itself went from 0 to 1, we need some external help to bring it from 1 to 10. That includes regulators, providing regulatory clarity. I'll give you one example here in Hong Kong. Since November 1st of last year, every single licensed fund manager, Eugene, can have up to 10% of its portfolio in crypto with no additional licensing conditions. So a great example of regulators coming and providing the regulatory clarity that the industry needs from that perspective. And I believe the same thing applies for countries like Armenia and others around the world where there is tech talent, there is a lot of smart people who are hardworking, and also I think where there's an ecosystem and their location and their hubs basically. And I believe for Armenia, crypto and blockchain is a great opportunity to become a hub, not only for the region, but also for globally as well. And I really believe Armenia can play that role. And that's why I'm excited to be in Armenia in a couple of weeks at the Chainpoint conference.
As an insider, you have been observing the countries with a strong British past in their history. From your viewpoint, what is the role of British past, of British law in the success of the country in crypto industry? Perhaps I am totally convinced that it's the main role. Singapore, Hong Kong, and other countries, for example.
Well, I'm not sure, Eugene, that I'll agree that it's a British colonial past that has a role to play. Frankly, what we've been seeing now at the global level, I think one of the advantages of Hong Kong, and you're absolutely correct, is that there's a rule of law. There's infrastructure, there's institutions, and so on and so forth. But to be fair, we've seen that in other countries where it was more the civil law, if you want, or a background or historical background as well. One thing I would mention, though, I think when it comes to the importance of the rule of law, but also institutions, is something that we've seen in many markets. For example, if I look at around the world right now, I see 3 different approaches being taken when it comes to crypto policy and crypto regulations. Some countries are taking a very theoretical approach. Liechtenstein is a great example, next to Switzerland, where, for example, the latest regulations do not even use the word blockchain or crypto. They talk about trusted technology. So that's been one approach we've seen. Other countries, I would say, maybe coming back to specifically your argument that you made, like Hong Kong, really are trying to put crypto inside the existing ecosystem, existing frameworks. Like in Hong Kong, like I mentioned, with the recent changes that in the law that allow fund managers to trade crypto. But also, I think I would say some countries are really taking a more proactive stance. Countries like Bermuda, Malta, Gibraltar, and others that the ecosystem is well familiar with, who are really coming up with bespoke regulations for the crypto ecosystem. And I have to say, I personally believe that jurisdictions that have prioritizing crypto, digital assets, or blockchain technology will have a lead in the space. So for example, some data research that my team has done, we found out that today, there's around 60% of regulators that have issued some kind of crypto regulations. that comes up to ballpark around 90% of global GDP. And I really believe that it's very important for any country to have a strategy when it comes to blockchain, to have to deal with decentralized assets and cryptocurrencies, because, I mean, you may believe that it's the future or not, but it's definitely going to play a bigger role moving forward. And that's an opportunity for many countries around the world.
That's a great advice for all the governments of all the countries from Henri Arslanian. And finally, let's go back to Crypto Armenia. Henri, whom do you recommend to visit Chainpoint 19 conference in Yerevan in October 14 and 15? What type of person will mostly benefit of attending this conference?
No, absolutely. I think like any, I think the Chainpoint has done a great job in having a very good created conference with a lot of good content and a lot of exciting people. I think that's a must for every conference you attend to. But I would say the other interesting tone point that personally, again, I find very special for me is the chance to visit Armenia. I have to say I'm very privileged in my life, and I travel all the time, and I visit over 80 different countries. Armenia really, for me, remains really my personal favorite. Really, where not only you have great people, great restaurant, great infrastructure, it's easy to get to, but also you have this whole dynamism right now within the country. For example, The Economist named Armenia the country of the year last year, and during that week that Chainpoint is taking place, it's a week-long week of conferences and people from all around the world coming to Armenia. So I like to call it, for the Americans, I tell them it's like a Super Bowl of crypto and FinTech innovation. For around the world, I would say it's like the World Cup of FinTech and crypto innovation. It's very happy that Chainpoint is having place. So I look forward to meeting not only you, Eugene, but many of your viewers in Armenia next month. And very excited to actually meet face-to-face with many of the people that often we talk about or we read about, but had a chance to meet in person in beautiful Armenia.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to meet passionate and experienced Henri Arslanian from Hong Kong and from Armenia, of course, personally, please attend the Chainpoint 19 conference in Yerevan, Armenia, on October 14 and 15, and use your promo code Romanenko at CP19 for a 20% discount. It's written below. And by the way, we can also meet with you at other events. Please visit cryptomc.com and find your promo codes of that events and the list of that events. And subscribe our Facebook page and YouTube channel. And stay tuned for next speakers interview of Chainpoint and other events. Henri Arslanian, the chairman of Hong Kong FinTech Association. Eugene Romanenko, well with you. Thank you for watching Crypto Events Announcements. See you on October 14 and 15 in sunny Yerevan, Crypto Armenia, the Chainpoint 19 conference. Stay tuned, stay crypto, and thank you very much, Henri.
Thank you for having me.